Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Leslie Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the delightful convo I had with Katie Miller-Kerner in our last episode. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, then you know that you don't know that I screw her name up. So that's really fun. Surprise, I said it wrong the first one. But if you want to go back and listen to that one, hear how I say her name incorrectly, hear how she says it correctly, and then come back to this one where we're going to say it correctly. Katie Miller-Kerner is here. We're doing the recap with her, her episode today. Do the listening in whichever order you find freeing. That's what we're here about. So here's what I'm excited about right now, babe.
Tell me.
This week. Y'all, it is like, it's that end of summer vibes. We're going into that, back to school. I don't even know. Kids go back to school at the oddest times. I went back to school in July, so welcome to year round. But I just love this season of change. And if you're my Aussies, I hear you. I know it's springtime, whatever. Wherever you live, there's a transition that's about to happen. We're about to go into that last third of the year, and it is really, really fun. We're getting ready for our 100th Me challenge. And
we got that coming up.
It's coming up really quick. And so what this challenge is all about, why I love it so much, is if you are struggling to make consistency a thing with anything, then I want you to join me, because we actually focus on being consistent around our Pilates practice. And if you're like, girl, I don't do Pilates, whatever, come do it anyways and use it as a way to learn how to be consistent. So that's what I'm excited about, because end of summer means it's almost fall, which means it's almost time to hang out with a bunch of you for a month and work on consistency. I don't know, what are you excited about right now, babe?
Well, I was going to say, if you're interested in more about that, we got a wait list going on. Just go to 100withme.com.
Oh, check us out. 100withme.com. It's called that because I believe you must give 100% to yourself first so you can do more for others. And so we're going to do 100 with me, right? Like, we're doing it together. We're just giving 100% to ourselves together. Anyways, it's also why this podcast exists. It's like literally like, how many different ways can I get you to fill your cup first?
Yeah, I'm in. I love it.
All right.
Speaking of filling our cup first.
Right.
The question this week was, why do we have 3 dogs? And did we think that was a good idea? Which has nothing to do with filling our cup first, but
we filled our cups in other ways. This is okay. So I take full responsibility for us overwhelming ourselves with 3 dogs. I do think I championed that cause of getting a 3rd dog.
That's interesting. I think you also championed the cause of the 2nd dog.
I totally championed the cause of the 2nd dog. And I think that was a great idea, actually.
And here's what's insane. We currently have 4.
I know, y'all. There's 4 dogs in this house, and the 4th dog is twice the size of any one of our dogs. So it's like having 5. But
he's a temporary guest. It's her brother's dog, and he's moving, so we've got him to make life easier for him for a little bit, maybe only for another week, I think. But
babe, you're in denial. I think he's forgotten. My brother works graveyards, and so he will be doing 4 10s, which means that we will have his dog 4 10s of every week. But our dogs, it's like,
they're besties. They couldn't be. It's such an awesome.
They're in love with each other. They are a little pack. They're so fun. But so let's go back to the 3 dogs, because we definitely Here's a side note. 4 is easier.
Four is actually easier. It's weird.
There is, though, when you hear about people have like multiple kids, like, how do they do that? Because at some point, they just start taking care of themselves. So I totally understand that now.
They entertain themselves.
They really do. So the reason, so I championed the second dog because I actually thought, which is Bayonne, because Gaia was like, just such a sad face every time I walked in the house, and she would not move from the bed. I would come. Came and went in our apartment all the time, and she would just be in the same spot in the bed for 10 hours. And I'm like, that is not healthy. She needs a buddy. She needs a buddy. Yeah. So I made us get a dog, and she didn't care about it. And in fact, it didn't change her MO. But
I mean, we did get a puppy, and she was 6, so she was like, "Oh my god, this little dog."
Yeah. So and then when we moved to Vegas, I forgot that she was only a few years older than Bayonne, because we decided that she was 12 and dying, and you're like, well, Bayonne's gonna need a buddy, so I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be so depressing when she dies. We should get a third dog so that Bayonne isn't lonely. And
then I looked up her birthday
after we adopted the third dog. And
she's only 10.
She's only 10.
So she's going to be here for a long time.
And the vet said the other day she's got a lot of life in her. And I was like, how much? This is a lot. So look, we love them all. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And they're challenging in their own ways. But did I think it was a good idea in like my mind of what it is? And now that it's actually been a year since we've had August is our third. He's our baby, and he knows it. They have their own rhythm, and they make me laugh, and they also make me frustrated. And so
it's a good learning experience.
We don't need kids. We have them. They have 4 legs, and
we got 12 legs to deal with.
Yeah. So anyways, if you're thinking about getting a third dog, you know what? I am not here to tell you otherwise. Like, you have to make that decision for yourself. We happen to live and work from home, so it actually works really well for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Hey, what's next?
Okay. Now let's talk about Katie Miller-Kerner.
Woo woo. Katie Miller-Kerner.
All right. Katie Miller-Kerner is a former competitive bodybuilder and bikini model turned self-love life coach and clinical hypnotist.
I mean,
that's no joke. Like, so she went back and like did a whole bunch of certifications to like literally, change her career path. She works with people to level up their self-talk, their vision for themselves, and she digs into the energy behind their entrepreneurial drive. She is an intentional manifester and is a bubble of positive energy.
I love that we got 2 manifestors in a row. I feel like that is super awesome for those of you who are like all in on the manifestation. You're like, yeah. And then those are like, what's this?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know. And then you got hit again and you're like, okay, maybe a little bit. Okay, so here.
I think that definitely was me.
Yeah, Brad. So, yeah, well, especially because so many of these interviews, I was being it till we see it in a big way. I was interviewing like crazy before this podcast was ever even made. And then Brad put the interview episodes in an order and gave people a date. So that was him. Totally him.
It's true. Did it to myself.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I loved about our interview. There's a lot. She's such a lovely human being. It was one of those random, I would never have met her had I not been in this room that I was in. So going back to last week's, like, go be in the rooms, like go do the thing and things will come to you, because I really was looking for more friendships and more people who understood what I was doing in my life. And I went to the room and I got those friends, and she's one of them. And she talked about changing your neural pathways. And that can sound really scientific and like really like, woo, what does that mean? Like, how do I do that? You don't need surgery for it. This is actually something
I think this is probably the most logical thing that she said, well, to be quite honest.
Yeah. But like,
this is like science-based.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, I don't know if manifestation is science-based. I'm sure there's a theory behind it, but this is like how your brain works.
If there's science behind manifestation, send it to us. We'd love to read it. But this is science-based, and it is something you can do. And it's, so simple, like the way she does it. So I really enjoyed it because I feel like any one of us could do it, or at least hire her to help us do it. So,
well, she talked about how, so this is where she was talking about hypnosis.
Yeah.
Right.
I have not, we have a friend who's also a hypnotist.
Yeah.
And I've never done it.
I've also never done it, but what she was describing is basically that it is not this like, TV, magic based, like make someone do weird things kind of a thing. That's not what is happening with what she's doing. She's essentially putting you in a mental state through hypnosis where it is easier for you to change neural pathways, which we all know about habits and, just repetition and life. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, all that kind of an idea, that mentality. It becomes a groove in your brain, literal groove in your brain. This is my response. This is how I respond. This is what I do. When this happens, bam, this is what I do, right? And that is a neural pathway. And so she talks about how by using hypnosis, she can help adjust or change or derail those neural pathways to help you make positive changes in your life.
Yeah. Well, and we, and we've had guest speakers in our other programs before, and your brain is just likes to do things the easiest way. And so every time someone says something to you about something, you've like created that group, you get there faster and faster every time. It's why
Sure.
I can totally tell that in some grooves, like when something doesn't go the way I want, like the groove of being upset and frustrated and feeling like, why is this happening to me, can be really fast.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like a speed train, and to stop that speed train and have a different pathway, it's like trying to create, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, like trying to walk and create a new path. And so she actually just helps you do it. And it sounds like it's faster with her route than like trying to manually groove your own path.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done hypnosis, so I don't know, but I thought that was really curious. So
maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll have to just do it on a pod.
I mean, that would be interesting.
I don't even know how okay, don't hold this to it, but I'll look into it.
Okay.
All right, what did you like?
All right, so she was talking about kind of making that change, that transition in her career from being on this trajectory that was, easy for her in the sense of it was innate, right? She had natural abilities when it came to bodybuilding and being consistent and doing the modeling thing. Like she's, like she said, sports always came easy to her, all that kind of stuff. And then she decided, I need to move on. I need to change from this. And she talked about that transition, and what she said was learning from the journey was part of who she is today, right? And I know you two were going back and forth, and you told the story about the kid who pulled the string and moved ahead, in life, whatever. But she was talking about, she kind of had to take a step out so that she could start again. And that momentum that you have when you're like, heavy competitor, and then you're like putting the brakes on, starting over, like you miss that endorphins, you miss that competition, that spirit, that drive, right? And so I feel like that was probably challenging for her. And then, but she said that the life transition itself, it was so key in developing who she is today. So to embrace that change, to learn from the journey, right? Enjoy the journey. So yeah. Anyway, I thought that was I liked what she was talking about there, because I think that it's applicable to so many of us, especially with COVID happening recently, hijacking, derailing, in some cases threatening the life that you know.
Well, and there is a study that talks about like 70% of Americans. So I don't know for the country you're living in, like you might, hopefully someone's in this study, but 70% of Americans are going to change their career, like literally change it, not switch jobs, change their career within 2 years. And that was from 4 months ago. So we're like almost a year and a half in, like that means all these
everything's shifting.
And we shifted a lot. And I think
we totally did.
I think it's, I think it's really hard to do that. And the reason I wanted to have her as a guest as well as like, she went from a bodybuilding competition person and coach of that to being a hypnotist of like, how do I help these people make their life work happen? And I wanted to have her on because like, I know that you might be sitting there going, how do I go from being an accountant to being like a retreat host? Or how do I go from being a stay-at-home mom to like running my own business? Like I wanted you to see someone who like literally did something like that's not those two. You don't go, okay, first I do competitions, then I help you with competitions, then I hypnotize people into believing that they can do things. Like
that's the next natural step. Not so much.
It's not so much. And I think it's just really important that we know that life is not linear.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know who told us all that, but like, we really have to we have to get off that gravy train. That's what I have to say. I'm gluten-free, so I'm already off of it.
Oh, anyway. That's a bummer. I love gravy. All right. So finally, let's talk about the beit action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items could we take away from your convo with Katie Miller-Kerner? And we're going to do it a little different today because I think this is more one kind of big conversation instead of a bunch of little takeaways. So I'm going to let you jump in.
Okay. So first you're going to write down a short-term and a long-term goal that you have. So something you want now and something you want later. And
then what she said, which I thought was interesting, because this comes back to like manifestation and also hypnosis, is asking, like looking at the two things that you just wrote down, one short-term and one long-term goal, asking yourself, do I believe that I can have these things? Do I believe that I can have these things? And
we did this recently.
Yeah, we did this recently, and we talked about how it's a little scary to dream really big.
We dreamed really big, and I was like, yes, and my body like lit up everywhere, and like I was like, all right, that's happening, and let's go. And you were like, oh, that's actually really scary.
Yeah, for me there was fear associated with that, which is crazy.
So do I believe I can have this? And then does your body tense up anywhere?
Right. So the next question she asked was, looking at those two goals, does your body tense up anywhere? And then she said to write down the thoughts or beliefs that come up surrounding that tension.
Yeah.
And then presumably it's a negative association. And she said, you need to invalidate that belief.
That's so powerful. Like, because I think so often we're looking for other people to invalidate beliefs. Like we're like, seeking out, compliments or like affirmations or like, oh, this happened. And you're like almost sometimes like maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm just like talking about myself, but like, you're kind of worried about something and you're kind of seeking for someone to invalidate what you're worried about for you. But oftentimes they just validate it, which is like never a good thing. And I love this because she's asking you to invalidate the negative belief that you have around the thing that you want.
Yeah, and I think let's actually get an example in here. So you were talking about, someone who's an accountant who wants to, whatever, what did you say, become a Pilates instructor?
No, I said she wants to lead a retreat.
Lead a retreat. Right. So
no, I know everyone listening to this doesn't want to become a Pilates instructor. I'm not trying to convert them.
It just was pulling the example from before. So lead a retreat. Love it. So, do I believe I can have this? I know years back when we were, brainstorming, the idea of leading a retreat seemed like ridiculously far-fetched. And to like have somebody, to ask someone to pay us thousands of dollars to join us on a trip somewhere was like, it just felt outrageous, right? And when I thought about it then, I remember thinking like, we're not famous. How are we ever going to ask people for that kind of a thing? And does my body tense up anywhere? Yeah, it kind of tense up in my gut and my heart a little bit, right? And like and like kind of around my eyes, like where my mind is. And what are those thoughts or beliefs that just came up? I just said them. We're not famous. and so like, how are we going to be able to ask people to pay us, and write those down, right? And then invalidate those beliefs. Do you actually have to be famous to lead people on a retreat? No. Who told me that? Where did that story come from? I don't know. That's such a weird thing to say. It's just this weird, like, preconception that I pulled out of nowhere, and then asking people to pay us, has been, it started off being this weird thing where it was like, like, okay, you're gonna have to pay us like $1,500, right? And the reality is, like, we were barely making the retreat happen by asking for only $1,500, let alone turning it into something that was paying us as well, right? And I think that one took a little longer for me, because what I realized was that people weren't there counting the $1,500 pennies of it, and being like, you only gave me $14.97 worth of value. No, the value for them was exponentially more than $1,500. They were like, this was a life-altering, mind-blowing experience. I can't wait to go home and tell all my friends and family, and then all of a sudden I was like, wow, I'm going about this all the wrong way. I'm like stuck on this money situation, right? So again, invalidating that's people aren't in it for the $1,500. They're in it to experience this retreat, this life changing experience, this event. Yeah. And so
if you're an accountant wanting to lead a retreat, it's, you got to just think about, like, you got to picture yourself on the retreat with the people, and it's the last day, and you're hugging them, and you're doing these things, and you just have to, like, I bet only good stuff is going to come up. And then if anything negative comes up, that's what you have to go in and invalidate, because that is a story that's, like, playing on in your head.
Yeah.
And just so you know, people came on our retreat. They are no longer $1,500. We can't wait to start them back up again.
It's true.
They are going to be beit retreats for sure, and they are going to have so much epic stuff. But I really love this. I think this is something people can do, like, daily. Like, if you, like, come up with an idea, you're like, oh, I want to do this. Okay, do you believe you can have this?
Yeah.
Where's your body tensing up? Write down the thoughts and beliefs that came up, and then invalidate the negative ones. Boom.
Yeah.
Like, what a great little skill set to have in your back pocket.
I mean, that is, like, very tangible. Like, you can do that action item. So I thought that was amazing, and I'm really happy that she shared those tips with us.
Yeah, I really love this. I loved her interview. Thanks for doing this with me, babe. All right, everyone. I'm Leslie Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so grateful to have you here. How are you going to use these tips in your life? Are you going to do these questions?
You should.
If you do, you're going to. I'm already putting that out there for you. So you're going to screenshot this episode. You are going to write down what your takeaways are. You're going to tag Be It Pod, tag Katie Miller-Kerner, and make sure your friends hear about it, because that is how we help more people be it till you see it. And so until next time, you need to be it till you see it.
Bye.
That's all I've got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Leslie Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
Kevin and Belle at Disenyo handle all of our audio editing and some social media content.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jaira Mondal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Pedroso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And the Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.